Yes. How's everybody doing? Good. It was funny that Trailer I called him up and said, hey, do you mind if I share today if you don't have anybody speaking today? He said, sure. And so here I am. So I appreciate that. I appreciate him letting me do this. If you have a pen and paper handy, I'm going to give you some business stuff. It's going to be what I wrote down is something that I've been studying for a while, something I've experienced in business, and I'm going to kind of name it 6 Steps to the Perfect Business and Marketing Plan. Okay, how many of you guys would like a nice marketing plan, or at least know the path to get there? Okay, a handful of you, good. I'm not going to go into a lot of my backstory. He said that I was in the bar business for many years. I did that for about 8 years. I started out bouncing, and then I got into bartending and so on, and then I ended up getting married, getting saved, started coming to this church back about 20 years ago. If you saw that real tall blonde girl, the real pretty one I was sitting next to, that's actually my daughter. She works on the staff here and stuff like that, and she was 9 months old when we brought her to this church. It was pretty incredible. So it's nice to see the fruit of that she's out there doing it. I got into, back in my mid-20s is when I was first introduced to any kind of business. I didn't know that you could be an entrepreneur. I never had any aspirations of being an entrepreneur. I knew absolutely nobody in my little hillbilly town that I grew up in that was in business for themselves. Most people were just 9-to-5 job guys. Nothing wrong with that, I'm saying, but I didn't know anybody in that sphere. So it became a different way of thinking when I was introduced to business, and I thought this sounds like a great way to do things, because I just knew that I just probably wasn't a lifer in a job platform, okay? So if you're there, but you're looking to go into a different realm, this might help you. So what I'm gonna have you do, the good news is I wrote down some notes for you so that I can follow along. A lot of times I'll rabbit trail on here. And if you have questions, go ahead and hold them till the end. I won't go the full length here, and we'll cover those things. So I'm gonna ask you to get this again. A lot of you guys are in business, I would assume, right? Or trying to get your businesses going. Okay, so I have been successfully doing business for quite a few years, and this is some stuff that I recently identified that have really helped me in my business. I actually own a company that we launched a little over a year ago, and I'm going to reference it because it'll help you to I can tell you the problems we've had and the solutions we're creating for that, and it might give you ideas that you can do. So what I want you to do is I'm going to have you write down somewhere on your piece of paper these 6 things, okay? So you're going to write them down maybe in the top right corner of your paper, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each one and walk you through each of those 6 steps. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay, the first one in the top right corner, I want you to write the word awareness. Awareness. Then the second one is acquisition. Acquisition. The next one is activation. 4th one is revenue. 5th one is retention. The 6th one is referral. So awareness, acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, and referral. I actually got a lot of this from somebody called it the pirate metrics, because if you look at the first letters and all of them, it goes R, right? That's where it came from. Okay, so in business, you have a thing, and you hear and I'm going to talk. So if you can follow me on this, there are what they've called, how many of you have heard of a marketing funnel? A marketing funnel, okay? Everybody if you don't know what that is, let me give you a Cliff Notes version. A funnel is exactly what in marketing, it's the same thing as you would, pour something into, and it goes out the little end at the bottom, right? And it's very large at the top. This is exactly like that in that aspect, that this is a funnel, and there's different marketing funnels of how you generate leads and all that, and I'm not going to go into that. But these are some good stuff that I figured out. Is in your business, when you're starting your business and you're creating your business, no matter what you sell, one of the hardest things I see people identify is who their actual customer is. Who is my actual customer? A lot of times they call that in marketing, they call it an avatar, just like the movie Avatar, your ideal person. And this is one of the hardest things people do, is because you don't necessarily, or here's a way to find out who your perfect customer is ask yourself what problem you solve. Okay, what problem do I solve? What problem does my product solve? What problem does my business solve? What problem does my cake that I make solve, right? And here's something to also write down, this is really important, is understand you're always in marketing, everything you do is marketing, but people buy solutions. People buy solutions. Okay? Nobody buys a drill because they want a drill. Why do you buy a drill? What do you really want? A hole. Okay? So you have to understand that. You have to understand that these are some real important things, okay? So one of the first projects, if you've never done this, is you have to, it'll save you a ton and a ton of time, is literally take the time to identify your customer. If you need references online, you can go to, online and like, Google, how to create a customer persona is another word they call it, how to create a customer avatar or whatever, and it'll give you a list of all these things. Because you might be on, your product might only be interesting to somebody who's single, lives in Florida, that has 3 kids. I mean, it could be that specific, okay? But too many times in business, people take, they go, well, everybody should be using my product, right? It's really great. And then they go nowhere because they can't dial this stuff in, okay? So let's talk a little bit about these steps right here. If you were to look at the funnel, and if you were to kind of in your mind's eye picture, the first step is going to be the awareness, right? Which is the masses of all the people that you've identified that are going to be your perfect customer. That's where they fall into. The first step of this thing is awareness. Now, if you look at what made me understand this and make this funnel and these terms simple, was that it's basically what it is if you want to write this down too, it's considered a customer life cycle. Okay, it's a customer life cycle. Is I have to identify every single point of, they call it points of sale or things like that. You have to, if you want to really make this easy on yourself and scale your business and go faster and make more money because you can automate things and so on, you have to identify these points, okay? Now, the other thing to write down, and this is really, really important, is you must learn and really focus on is anytime you can, is to make data-driven decisions, not opinion-based decisions. Data-driven decisions. There has never been a better time in the history of mankind than to make that come true for you with all of the digital media that's out there. Like, there is nothing I don't track digitally now. Everything from Facebook posts to engagements to visits to website hits to time watching a video to time on site to site metrics, anything you can think of, I try to track it because it lets me know, and this is where we're going to get to, if you want to write this down, pinch points. So write down pinch points, okay? So I'm going to tell you, and this might help, is I will tell you kind of the story of my business that I have right now. I've got a handful, but this is the one I'm primarily focusing on that we launched a year ago. And it took a while to get it kind of going, but we launched it a year ago and now we're really ramping it up. But it might help you to understand where these are and how I identified the pinch points, okay? So my company is called BidPoint, and it is a business solutions company. Basically, we market essential services that businesses use on a regular basis. That's utility services, trash and recycling, credit card processing, and then we've got some other things that we're working on, right? My thing is, I've always been in the sales industry, and I've been into building sales organizations. I've helped organizations like insurance companies, network marketing companies, direct selling companies build humongous organizations into the tens of thousands. I figured, hey, why we're going to keep doing this for other people? Let's do it for ourselves. So this was kind of a real big step of faith to do this. I kind of knew that I could do it. I have 2 other partners, and all of our partners, each one has their specific thing that they're really good at. We understand each other's language to the point that we're dangerous, but each person is their master in one area, that kind of thing. So it's a really good awareness thing. So looking at my business, when it comes to awareness means, if you now on your left side of your paper, if you want to write down these sections, let's talk about awareness and let's give you some bullet points on that. And then after I finish those, we'll go to acquisition and just give you some bullet points on that, okay? Now what awareness means is very simple. It's not hard to understand what that word stands for. It's basically brand building, okay? And understand that there are, as a customer takes this life cycle, this journey in your business, that you can't rush a lot of these things, okay? How many here would love to just talk to somebody and they threw their credit card down and you sold something? That's what I want. I'm sorry, I'm telling you, that's what would be the best thing ever, right? In fact, I wish people would just send me money and I never talk to them. That'd be the ideal business, right? But it doesn't work that way. So we have to kind of keep this in order. But awareness is brand building, and understand that your brand building can mature, okay? And everybody starts somewhere. Understand that everybody starts somewhere. So regardless if your business is 10 years old and you've got an established market, you probably have grown and matured and so on. Or maybe even if you're brand new, you're looking for new ways to do things. Awareness can be anything from I saw a blog post, I saw a picture on Facebook with an image, I saw everything. Now understand, going right back to the very beginning of what I said about who is my customer, understand that all of your points of awareness should appeal to your ideal customer. Does that make sense? Like if I start putting a bunch of football posts together and football pictures to salespeople, it might not make any sense, correct? So you have to just be aware of that. So if I make an image, I'm always thinking, is this image going to appeal to my ideal customer, okay? If it's sunsets and so on, it might not make any sense for anything that I'm currently doing. If it's a business building, that obviously is an ideal picture that would trigger something for my people. Make sense? Okay. The other thing you can do is when I make these posts, like if you got a Facebook page, fan page, and so on for your business, what I like about Facebook, I love Facebook. Okay, Facebook. In case you don't understand Facebook has nothing at all to do with cat videos and wasting people's time. Okay. It is the largest single database on the planet of every single psychographic and demographic information about every habit, mislike, everything of of over 1 billion human beings on the planet. Would you like to figure out how to tap into a database like that? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay, you can absolutely do that. There's a thing in there, if you don't know who your current customer is, if you have a fan page, you can set up an ad account. All you do is put your credit card on file. You don't even have to spend any money. Just set up an ad account and go into their area called Audience Insights. Audience Insights. Okay? In Audience Insights, and I didn't have this written down, but this must be something somebody needs to hear. In Audience Insights, all you do is you click in. There's an area on the left-hand side of the screen that says interests. And what I do is I think of who my customer, my ideal customer is, and is there a company or a Facebook page out there that is doing something similar to what I'm trying to accomplish? Okay, why reinvent the wheel? Okay, so as an example, I know that there are some other companies that market energy. Okay, I know I market energy, and I know there's other companies out there that market energy, big companies that have fan pages. So what I do is in the interest area in Facebook, I click on that company in there, and instantly it will pull up all of the information of every single person that has clicked on it, like that page, and categorize them in their age groups, gender, location, traveling habits, anything you want to know. Would you say that's important data? Okay? You can speed this stuff up with technology these days. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And then what I would do is, knowing that, guess what that just helped me narrow down? I didn't realize, I thought my target market was going to be 20-year-olds to 27-year-olds. Well, all this data that came back just said that my ideal market is 45 to 65. Could you imagine if you spent all of your marketing dollars and time to the first group because you just guessed? Yes? So this is stuff that won't waste your time. So with awareness, let me stay on track here if I can. Yeah, I'm 15 minutes in, I haven't gone through any of them. Awareness is kind of your biggest thing, okay? Awareness is where you're going to see the most activity because it is the broad part of the funnel. Make sense? Okay? All we're going to do in the broad part of the funnel is try to dial it down and make it narrower, more narrow, so that we can have the right person come out that is the right that we have for our service, our product. So let me move on to acquisition. Okay? In acquisition, basically, what you're looking at is this is your first real interaction with somebody. Okay? Now, one of the things you can do is I would suggest that you create what we call content. If you've never heard the phrase content is king, you can create content with just about anything these days. Content, what I mean by content, it could be a graphic, it could be an image, it could be a PDF, it could be something that you give away. And most of the time, when it says acquisition, maybe you're giving out, if you sell like supplements or products, maybe you're giving out a sample of something, okay? You're going to exchange some content or some products, some small interaction that gets you to be part of my list. Does that make sense? Like, you guys all know how to generate an email list and stuff like that, or you understand that. With acquisition, it's called permission-based marketing. Permission-based marketing, because you don't want to be badgering me and sending me stuff I didn't ask to get, right? But if you're doing this correctly, this is easy, because that person that saw my energy post with the pictures and stuff like that, or looking for getting to become a salesman, they found that first thing interesting, which led them to the lead page or whatever, the acquisition, and now I've got them into that part where I'm making that first transaction. Because at this first transaction, what's nice about this part is, you might want to write this next to it, is acquisition is kind of your first point to start creating rapport. Okay, it's your kind of your first real introduction to who you are, what you're about, why they should be part of your company, your community, your product, or whatever it might be, what your culture is, what your community is, that kind of thing. Okay, so just remember that. Now, activation. Now, let me give you back to my business. In my business, I generate a lot of awareness using videos, blog posts, and more importantly, just Facebook posts that I maybe run a $5, $10, $20 ad on Facebook to my specific target market, that either ask them to opt in for something like a free PDF or whatever. And understand that you don't have to create most of this stuff. It's not as hard as you think. You can go. There's write this website down. It's really cool. It's called printfriendly.com. Let's say you don't have a good PDF. You don't have a good giveaway. If you can, at printfriendly.com, it's a free service. You can actually go to any blog page, any website whatsoever, copy and paste the URL of that website. So I go through and I find a lot of blog articles that I like on marketing and things like that, right? And a lot of times I use this to save them. You can take the URL of that blog post and you can copy and paste it in the print friendly area. So put it here, and it will instantly convert it to a PDF. The whole thing, and it looks gorgeous. You just created a giveaway PDF. Doesn't even have to be your content. I hate writing. I can't write. Okay, I can barely write my name half the time. If you want to take a picture of my notes, you probably wouldn't be able to read them. Okay, but it's easy to do that kind of stuff. So if you don't have that, so acquisition, or where was I? Activation, right? Did I finish my story on that? I didn't. So when my job was, so what I'm doing is I'm making the awareness of my company, and most times I have people opting in, like I have a free book based on how to make money in this space that I'm in, and I just offer the book for free. Basically what I did to make the book was I sat and told a story in front of a camera, and then I sent it to somebody on Fiverr, Fiverr.com. You can get anything. You can get 10 minutes of audio translated for $5. I then took that stuff, I turned it into, converted the Word document into a PDF. I added a cover photo to it, which made the book cover, and I instantly had a free giveaway, right? I just paid somebody else on Fiverr to make a 3D book cover so it looked a little more professional, but all I was trying to do was introduce them to that. Does it make sense? So you can do this stuff really, really easy. Awareness acquisition. So what I've done is I have people that opt in to get some free information, watch a video, and so on. During this point, I'm building brand awareness at the same time, and I begin to tell a story. So you have to understand that you're telling stories about what was the very first thing I said at the top there is people are buying solutions. Everything we're doing is identifying a problem somebody has and then offering them a solution. So in activation, in most cases, when you've acquired them, the activation is typically they've tried the product, they're doing something, and now you're going to ask them to take that next step, which generates the next thing, revenue. When I talk about revenue, it means somebody became a bigger part of my company. They joined as a sales agent, and now I need to take them to that next level so that they can bring bigger business deals to us, okay? And then retention's real simple. I'm gonna speed through these just so I can make sure I cover them all, and then I'll get to some more bullet points. Retention is very simply this. If you can bring as many, a lot of times people don't have a problem of acquiring people. Like I worked for a company one time that wanted me to generate leads for them. Everybody needs leads, right? So I generated thousands and thousands and thousands of leads for this company, and guess what? They couldn't do anything with them. Because as soon as I acquired them all, they had no other things in place that allowed them to make an acquisition of it. They couldn't activate the people because they had that, and they couldn't do that. So is leads a problem? Most people go, I need more leads. That's not their issue. It wasn't their issue. They had to figure out what that was. So retention and then referral. Referral is the ultimate place that you can take anybody that ever becomes a part of your company, your brand, your business, because now they become a personal brand ambassador for you. They begin to refer stuff to you that didn't cost you a dime to become part of that. It might be you know, you have a good food product or something that you're selling, a supplement, whatever it might be. You had a great experience all the way through this little funnel, this little customer journey, and now they're out there and they're talking without you anywhere to be found. That is the perfect ideal thing, and it started at the very top, right? So I'll give you just real quick how I do this with my company. In awareness, I'm looking to acquire people that want to know about becoming sales agents with my business solutions company. That's my primary focus. I've identified that they range, the majority of them, compared to my demographic, are over 45 years and older, because I know that those people are interested in retirement income, more income, or getting out of what they're currently doing. Does that make sense? So that gave me a great window to tell me what they are. I have probably, my demographic also falls in about 70 to 80% is male. Okay, so I put stuff, anything that I make marketing wise, I make it identify more with men than I would with women. Even though women sometimes come on board, that's what I've identified. It makes it so much easier to go get more leads that way. In the acquisition part, what we have is we have a free enrollment to basically somebody becomes part of the company, and then I take them through the activation. Guess what? These points, when I find something in my data that slows down, so if I have 1,000 people opt in and 5 of them activated, what happened? I got a problem, don't I? So what they call that, I think I mentioned, is these are pinch points. They call them pinch points in the funnel. There's something blocking them that you have to identify, because you could have the greatest product and revenue, and you know it's the greatest thing, and you think you got retention and so on, but it might be that one little thing. What we identified, or what I identified, was it didn't have a problem with the message, didn't have a problem with the branding, didn't have a problem with acquiring people. Plenty of people want to be sales agents, but then I wasn't getting to the revenue due to the fact that we couldn't activate these people to become proper salespeople and go out there and sell properly. So the whole thing that I've taken over the last couple months then is create this really, really robust training platform. So now, when I acquire somebody that comes in, they became aware, they went through here and they go here, they're automated, it's an automated training system. They watch a sequence of videos, they go up to speed real fast, and boom, they come out, and now they're generating revenue, right? Well, the cool part is all I'm doing now is I track the amount of people that are coming in, track the amount of people that are activated, and I track the revenue that comes from each person. Now, if I track it down to the bottom of how much revenue is generated from each person, what's real important about this number is that it allows me to identify my cost per person, cost per lead, cost per person, that, you know, what I know that I can do this. And why this is so important is if I know that a person that joins my business and writes business will put $1,000 a year into our company's pocket, how much can I spend basically to acquire a good person? $1,000, right? No matter what, I'm going to break even, right? I can spend up to $1,000, but you can get that dialed in. And if you look at the correct pinch points, and if you identify where these are, you can start turning up your leads. A lot of people, they spend money on lead generation, where it has nothing to do with that. They're targeting the wrong customer, or they're not, or when they do acquire them, they're not giving them the right message, so they're not going to that next level. So this is, and I'm trying to keep this on time, is these, if you take these, what I did is I wrote these on I have a big dry erase board right in front of my office. I have my desk and my dry erase board, right? And I have all of these points just written right here in order. I don't have notes under them. I just got awareness, acquisition, activation, that one right there like that. And I'm constantly asking myself when a question comes in, and here's the thing too, I like it when questions come in from the field. Because every time somebody asks me a question or has a problem with somebody, what did they just say? I have a problem, and this is a pinch point that you didn't know you had. Does that make sense? So it's not a bad, a lot of people go, oh gosh, you're gonna get bombarded with customer service. People wanna know all this stuff. I'm like, well, if I wanna build something big, I gotta know where the problems are, and we have to identify them and solve them. But by doing it this way and understanding where we were, we can then, if you want to build a bigger team, maybe you have more people that are part of your company, figure out the specialty of each person in your company or your business or people you're associated with that might be the perfect person to identify maybe the awareness. Maybe that's the person, they just love to be on Facebook. They just love marketing. They're real creative. They're the real good graphics person. That might be the person you say, hey, I want you to help with this area right here, and you put them in their right niche, and you're gonna rock and roll. Maybe revenue, you got somebody that's a data person or understands that or understands sales real well or knows how to teach somebody selling. If you help them identify that, it's gonna blow that area. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me just see. You may also want to understand that you're gonna have to be aware of time frames. Depending on the business you're in, a lot of times it might take a lot longer to acquire revenue versus if you're just selling a t-shirt online. If your business is t-shirts, it's a lot different of a life cycle than it would be if I'm trying to, you're trying to train insurance agents that have to go through a 6-month learning process and get their license and stuff like that. So what I would recommend in closing, let me kind of do this in closing, is if you just take these and you identify where you're at in your own business. Like if you were to sit down and look at where you currently are, what tools do you have that fix each one of these things? Okay, like when I look at awareness, what tools do I use? Is it websites? Is it blog posts or whatever it might be? What am I good at? What maybe do I have to outsource and things like that? And go through each one and maybe just jot down some notes. And if one seems to be working really well, don't necessarily tweak it yet. Okay, if you got one that's really working, you put some posts out and you get a lot of feedback and everything like that, you might be on the right track. Don't make anything drastic. But these are just, I think this is a great way to do this. Now there's all kinds of marketing funnels on how to generate leads and create tripwires, core offers, and all kinds of that. We're not going to get into that. But these are just some good bullet points that if you write these down, you study them, and you go through and ask questions about those, it'll really, really help you with your business. So take a deep, I know how many people just felt like they drank out of a fire hose? Okay, so, but if you look at these bullet points, they're not hard to figure out because each word is a word you already understand. Awareness, acquisition, activation is basically, if you just remember those and just take a deep breath. Mike said some stuff, I wrote a couple notes down, it's all good. It'll help you walk you through each thing. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Hopefully you got something out of that. And I'll pass it back on to Mr. Trailer.
He'll get to your questions in just